Hello, this is Dr. Yavuz Selim Sılay. You know, walking 20 minutes after meals is enough. More than that, maybe sabotaging your weight loss. Hello, I am so excited to share in this very important program a metabolic truth that surprises many of my patients. Many people believe that exercising immediately after eating helps them lose weight faster. They feel proud, disciplined, and committed. And the modern epidemics from dopamine to civilization will talk about the physiology. The physiology tells us a very different story because weight loss is not controlled by effort alone. It is controlled by hormones. And the most powerful hormone in weight regulation is insulin. You got it. When you eat, your blood sugar rises, right? And insulin rises. And insulin sends one of the clearest message to the body: store energy, not burn energy. This means fat burning stops. When you exercise intensely during the storage phase, your body does not burn fat, it protects fat. Instead, it burns glucose and creates instability. This instability leads to blood sugar crashes, cravings, fatigue, and long-term metabolic damage, ladies and gentlemen. Sweating may feel productive, but sweating is not fat loss, it is fluid loss. True fat burning begins later, when insulin levels fall. This is why timing matters. A light walk after meal is very beneficial. It stabilizes blood sugar, it supports metabolism, but intense exercise must wait. 2 to 3 hours later, when insulin falls, fat burning becomes possible. This is when exercise becomes powerful. And many of my patients fail not because they do too little, but because they do the right thing at the wrong time. And weight loss is not punishment, it is physiology, it is timing, it is strategy. Exercise smarter, not harder, because metabolism cannot be tricked. But it can be understood with programs like this. And when you understand it, you gain control. And that's why we're talking about walking for 20 minutes after meals is not enough. Is enough more than that? Is a question. Then you are not losing weight, you are distracting yourself. And this is very important from a perspective of a family physician. I have heard the same sentence from hundreds of patients who cannot lose weight, whose hemoglobin A1C does not decrease, and whose insulin levels remain very high. Doctor, I go to the gym immediately after eating. They say this with pride. However, in medicine, sometimes the most well-intentioned behaviors produce the worst metabolic outcomes. And metabolism responds to physiology, not emotion. Weight loss is not only a battle of willpower, it is also a hormonal process. And the main actor in this process is insulin. When you eat, blood glucose rises and insulin is released. The body enters a storage mode. And when insulin is high, especially intense exercise does not burn fat. Instead, it suppresses fat burning and increases blood sugar fluctuations. In other words, while you are sweating, your body protects its fat. A 20-minute walk after meals is recommended. But if you believe you are losing weight by doing longer and heavier exercise immediately after eating, you are most likely doing the exact opposite. That's why the misconception is, if I sweat, I burn fat. Does not work. Sweating does not mean fat loss. Especially after a heavy meal, intense exercise leads to loss of water, electrolytes, and sometimes motivation. Meanwhile, reactive hypoglycemia attacks, sugar cravings, and uncontrolled eating later in the day become more frequent. The result is unfortunately more exercise, less fat loss, and even more dangerous for diabetes. In pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes patients, the picture is clearer. Intense exercise immediately after heavy meals may cause sudden drops in blood sugar, followed by rebound spikes and persistent elevation of hemoglobin A1C. And science shows clearly the growth stability requires consistency, not shocks. So let's say, what does science say? A heavy exercise immediately after meals reduces fat oxidation. When insulin is high, fat burning is suppressed. Light walking after meals improves glucose control. Real fat burning begins when insulin levels fall. Timing is more important than intensity. So what should you do? Realistically, immediately after eating, 20 minutes of light walking is great because the purpose is stabilizing the blood sugar. But 2 to 3 hours after eating, you can do cardio, weight training, high intensity interval training, This is when insulin levels drop, fat burning begins, and metabolism allows fat loss. The common mistake in patients who cannot lose weight is, unfortunately, many patients do not fail because they exercise too little. They fail because they exercise at the wrong time, at the wrong intensity, with the wrong nutrition. They are disciplined, they are motivated, but misinformed. And eventually, they believe something is wrong with their metabolism. Light walking after meals improves glucose control. Heavy exercise immediately after meals delays fat loss. If you want to lose weight, do not exercise more. Exercise smarter, because metabolism cannot be deceived. But unfortunately, we can easily deceive ourselves. With sincere respect, your family physician, Dr. Yavuz Selim Sılay, the modern epidemics from dopamine to civilization, and managing partner of AFROTURK TV. Take care and all the best. Bye.